What's up, guys? So this is, I guess, more of an unplanned video. Kind of just got some extra time tonight and I felt like making a video. And, let me just plug this in. Just plug it in my laptop. So this wasn't really like a planned video per se, like my other stretching, myofascial release, etc. videos, but I thought it'd be beneficial and important to talk about my own journey in pelvic pain. So again, this is definitely unplanned, so if it's a little choppy sounding, I guess if y'all can just bear with me. But I hope those of you who are watching could take something away from this video, because there are definitely a lot of things I wished I knew going along the journey. Because there were definitely many times where I felt like I was navigating everything by myself. So I would say my pelvic pain really started November of 2022 at this point. So almost 3 years now, 3 years ago. So it started after, I would say, a bout of rougher and more frequent bouts of sexual intercourse. So a lot of pelvic floor action, ejaculation, etc. And looking back on it, that was definitely the catalyst for my symptoms, given that I had a history of, I guess I'll give you a little bit of background. I have a very active baseline. I love to mountain bike, I love rock climbing, snowboarding, lifting, hiking. I just like being outside and moving. I am a physical therapist, so I'm also moving during the day. But as such, I can say that in the past, leading up to all of this happening, I was not the greatest at practicing what I preach in terms of warming up and cooling down, especially with all this exercise that I was doing. And now you bring into the pot all this pelvic floor action, and I think that just made the perfect storm for symptom onset. So let's go back to, we're still in November 2022, and I woke up one morning after a bout of sexual intercourse. It was multiple times a day leading up to, for a couple days leading up to this day, and I noticed that my testicles started feeling some pain, and it was more like I guess like an achy, kind of heavy feeling, and along with that I started feeling, let me just look at my notes here as well from a while ago. Some things I also noticed, it's Breathing felt a little bit different, almost like my abdomen felt restricted, I would say. Almost like that feeling after you get kicked in the nuts, I guess. Um, but all day. So it, as you can imagine, did not feel the most pleasant. Some things I also noticed in addition was some urine dribbling, especially after I would use the bathroom. And a little bit of paresthesia, which is a fancy term for change in sensation in my scrotum area. So, kind of like a pins and needles. And this evolved more so over the course of a week. I thought, maybe I just slightly overdid the intercourse and I would just chill for a couple days and everything would be okay. But that I was completely wrong. And so I chilled for a couple days. I noticed these symptoms. And then I actually made an appointment with my primary care provider. I would say at this point, the pain was about a 4 out of 10. Things that would make it worse would be sitting for too long, standing for too long, walking. Walking was interesting because it would give me almost like a jolt that felt like it would shoot down from like my hip down into my testicles, and that would happen walking down the hallway at work because like I mentioned, I am a PT, so I do a lot of walking throughout the day in the hospital. So definitely wasn't fun. So I went to my PCP and he mentioned, first he did his exam and he immediately confidently said, "You have what's called epididymitis." So he mentioned that epididymitis is an inflammation of the epididymis, which is in that testicle area and can get inflamed through things like bacteria. Basically, he was telling me I had a STD, STI, but I had been with my girlfriend, still with my girlfriend, for probably about a year at that point, and I had no other recent partners, so I was a little skeptical of what he was saying, but I tried to be a good patient and trust the doctor, and he said, "Let's run urine sample and also ultrasound of your scrotum," and those could indicate, those could also rule in or rule out anything that's going on. So he also gave me a antibiotic injection, I remember, right into the ass, and that was not fun. But anyway, so he said, "Here's some pain medicine, Mobic, if any of y'all are familiar. Take this for a couple days," and he also prescribed me an oral antibiotic. I think it was doxycycline. He said, "Take the course of this and you should be feeling better. Get the ultrasound and then we'll go from there." So I did that. It actually ended up getting worse over, I'd say, the next week. And then I got the ultrasound and I got the results of my urine test as well. And there was nothing wrong according to the tests. So at this point, I am in a lot of pain. I'd say closer to 5, 6 out of 10. And also experiencing heartburn from the Mobic, the pain medicine, and not getting relief. So I stopped the pain medicine because of the heartburn, and I ended up finishing the antibiotics, but didn't end up really getting any relief from that either. So now here I was at a kind of a halt. I was confused because I was supposed to get relief from these medications and be cured. So I didn't know what to do. So then I started, I guess, brainstorming what could it be if it's not bacteria related, if everything's clear. And then in my research and also thinking back to PT school, I was like, oh hey, what about pelvic floor? It could be my pelvic floor. It could cause pain. It's definitely, it feels like more than a muscular pain, but I don't want to rule this out just because I don't really know much about it. So the two things I did was I made an appointment with a urologist, just so I have someone who specializes with, the male genitalia, to see me, as well as made an appointment with a pelvic PT. So my urologist appointment was not for a long time because it was hard to get an appointment. It was probably about a month and a half from November, the onset of symptoms after I saw my PCP. So let's say early December of 2022. And my pelvic PT appointment was scheduled for early December. So let's say early December for pelvic PT, and then maybe late January, early February for my urology appointment of the following year. So I remember leading up to this pelvic PT appointment, I was just looking at some pelvic floor stretches and stuff online to see if anything would help, or like if anything would help indicate that I do have some pelvic floor dysfunction. I remember specifically, and you can find this easily online as well. I don't have it in my stretching videos as of yet, but I was in my girlfriend's apartment at that time, and I tried, it's called the Happy Baby Stretch. And for those of you who may have tried it before, or for those of you who haven't, you lay on your back and you pull your knees in towards you by holding onto your feet, and it really gets you a good stretch in the pelvic floor. So I remember the first time I did that, it felt so tight and very, very almost spasming. So in a way, I had like my first sense of relief in a sense, because I felt like I was onto something, finding out what the problem was. And being like in the field of treating like musculoskeletal conditions, it felt comforting to know that, oh, this is fixable. So I fast forward, early December, went in for my PT appointment, and I was assessed, evaluated for my pelvic floor, my lumbar, thoracic spine, and basically everything was tight. Everything was not as mobile / strong as it could be. And my PT, shout out to Amy, found out that I have a lot of work to do in my legs, starting all the way down at the calves, going all the way up to my lats, my thoracic spine, addressing that whole chain of muscles and fascia, which, even as a PT, you don't think about the whole chain working together as much, and how much the fascia can affect, anecdotally, pain levels and feelings of tightness and overall well-being. So I started seeing Amy twice a week for, I'd say, about 3 months, and it was really a moment, a journey of just really, really trusting the process. And it was really hard to grind and do my very extended HEP, my home exercise program, which was basic at first, basic stuff compared to what I was used to. So, like I had mentioned, I love snowboarding, climbing, mountain biking, lifting heavy weights. I love high level sports and activities, and going back to foundational stretching and myofascial release and stuff that was more basic, while avoiding those, it was hard. So thankfully, after I would say about a month, was able to be cleared to slowly, very, 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 and I mean very slowly, reintroduce my main sport at the time, which was rock climbing. As well as finally get in with my urologist. So my urologist examined similar to my PCP, and he also examined my prostate through the anus, and he said it's not boggy, it doesn't feel swollen, and you're good. By that time that I had gone in with the urologist, I'd say my pain levels were a little bit lower. So he had mentioned to just keep up with the pelvic PT. If things end up getting worse, then to come see him again. But due to the fact that I was making progress with pelvic PT, he felt that that was the answer already. So basically every day I was doing a stretching program. I was slowly introducing strengthening, starting with isometrics and then progressing to more concentric exercises, slowly reintroducing climbing, not every day with the climbing, but also part of the healing process, as well as performing myofascial release to the pelvic floor, which eventually maybe I can put some more videos up, but I have one video up on how to self-release your part of your pelvic floor. So over the course of, I'd say, January 2023 to April 2023, I made a lot of progress, and I started to really see the increase in load capacity that I had. Basically, load capacity is the safe amount of load exercise load that an individual can handle, and you do that by progressively overloading via exercise. I ended up transitioning to a different PT after that, and then another PT after that, because at the clinic I was going to my previous PT, and at this point the previous PT after that, both had transitioned to different clinics. So shout out to Amy and shout out to Shauna as well. And since then I have been seeing new for me PT, Christine. Shout out to Christine, who is excellent. And at this point I have made many gains. I've progressed past my baseline slowly. Again, it's been since 2022. Slowly rebuilding my workout program, staying vigilant about warming up and cooling down, and just making sure that I am continuous, and just making sure to watch my stress levels. Something else I wanted to talk about though, and that wasn't per se diagnosed, but in addition to my pelvic floor pains, this was in 2023 to almost the 2023 until I'd say like February 2024. In addition to my pelvic floor pains came TMJ symptoms. So TMJ, your temporomandibular joint, your jaw. I started grinding my teeth and also clenching at night. And looking back on it, and after taking some continuing education courses on this for PT, and just learning about pain science through research, I have learned that this was kind of, for me, what I believe a stress response to the stress I was having from my pelvic floor dysfunction. As well as there being much of a physical connection via, it's called the deep front line, and it goes all the way from your calves all the way up through your pelvic floor, and this is where it ends. So I'd say it was multifactorial, between psychological as well as physical. I don't want to say damage, but dysfunction. So alongside PT for my pelvic floor, I started seeing a dentist for my TMJ issues. So my dentist basically told me that my jaw was, my bite was misaligned and I wasn't hitting evenly. So that caused dysfunction in the jaw and pain as a result. So he made me a night guard for my teeth, just the upper teeth, to separate the jaw, distract the jaw over here, to wear at night, so that if I do clench or grind, I'm protecting my teeth. And that in itself was a journey in addition to my main pelvic floor journey, because I had to go through many different appliances, different types of guards, night guards, in order to figure out which one worked best, by trialing each one for like multiple nights, weeks, and just figuring out what worked. And it was tough because yes, you can have a night guard to help protect your teeth and to make it so that your temporalis and masseter, temporalis is here and masseter is inside, they help clench and close the mouth. Yes, you can make it so that they're in a suboptimal position so they can't work as hard to clench your jaw at night, but I felt that I wasn't addressing the problem so much because I wasn't stopping the clenching. I was just lessening the impact of the clench. So I, as you can imagine, was very stressed out just because I was in pain in my pelvic floor and also now my jaw. So I guess juggling the two was ramping up my nervous system a lot and created this what I now understand as like a hypersensitive nervous system of sorts. So I really started to try to educate myself on how to stop the clench, because that was the main reason for my pain. And I did a lot of research on why why people clench their jaw at nighttime, and I found that there's three main reasons for clenching your jaw. There is jaw clenching due to instability of the jaw. There is jaw clenching due to sleep apnea. So, if your throat muscles anatomically, when you lay down, end up blocking your throat, you will clench your jaw and activate. I don't know the muscles off the top of my head. Activate muscles to open the airway. So that tends to happen in people with sleep apnea. And the third reason for clenching the jaw is stress. So I think looking back on it, I really wanted to rule out the sleep apnea component of the reason for the clench. I guess I was still kind of in denial about, the stress is causing my clenching. I was aware that I was under stress, but I wasn't totally convinced that the reason for the clench is because of the stress. I guess because I am pretty chill at baseline, I would say, if I was to self-analyze, and I didn't really realize at the time that you can be chill, but you can still be stressed. Stress is everyone gets stressed, but I guess not everyone manifests their stress via complaining or displaying hyperactiveness or displaying hyperactiveness. There's people that are stressed and are still not showing any physical signs to you, but I guess in my case my stress manifests more in let's say muscle pains. So I wanted to rule out sleep apnea. So I asked my PCP, actually, who I hadn't contacted since the epididymitis episode from my last appointment. I asked him, well, first I told him about my TMJ issues, and then I asked him if I could get a sleep study to rule out sleep apnea, because I think it's causing my clench. And he kind of, it was a phone call, and I kind of got a like, huh? And I think that's kind of a shot in the dark, but okay, you could try it. So I was able to get in touch via referral with a sleep doctor and a sleep medicine doctor, and get a sleep study. So, and mind you, this is all while still doing pelvic PT and doing my HEP, my home exercise program, and still being in pain from both my pelvic floor and my jaw. So I went for my sleep study, and then I would say once the results from the sleep study came back and were normal, that was a big sign of relief for me. And I guess that kind of really opened my eyes to the fact that it's most likely stress-induced clenching, which is causing my TMJ symptoms. So I actually ended up following up with a TMJ specialist who is a PT. Shout out to Dr. Joe Damiani. And he similarly assessed and evaluated my jaw. I actually mentioned to him as well about my history of pelvic floor symptoms as well. But he showed me techniques and stretching techniques regarding like intraoral myofascial release, as well as extraoral exercises that I could perform at home to manage symptoms and regain back like the function of the jaw. And it took a while, but those exercises, I would say, combined with stress reduction in my life, really seemed to make a difference. I would say where I had the least guidance in this whole process. So fast forwarding another couple months, I was feeling tons better with my pelvic floor as well as my jaw. Let's say end of like mid 2020, let's see, mid 2024. Yeah, let's say mid 2024. Looking back, I think a lot of the guidance, that I, not even guidance, but the knowledge that I wish I knew and that's not as emphasized regarding musculoskeletal neuromuscular conditions such as pelvic floor dysfunction and even TMJ dysfunction, is how big of a impact that stress can have. So yeah, like, you fill out the intake form and asks, so how's your stress? I don't think a lot of people are aware of how stressed they are, and I think the medical field doesn't exactly provide the best how should I say this? The best guidance for treating stress, especially when things can be very exacerbated by stress. So over the years of this journey, I think something that I learned is how to be more aware of when I am stressed, and I think that's something that everyone could benefit from, and how to unwind from that stress, because chronically high levels of stress is not good for anyone's nervous system. Let's say that your normal threshold for pain is here, right? And your resting baseline level is here. So you have all this room to, let's say, oh, you get kicked in the leg. Oh, you get, you trip and you hit the same leg. You get kicked in the leg again. But you're still under your threshold for, let's call it leg pain. So then you head back down. So now, let's say, however, that you bring stress into the mix. Stress will lower your threshold for pain, and especially chronic pain. So, oh, you get kicked in the leg. Oh, you tripped and you fell on that same leg again. Oh, and it takes just one more damage to the leg, and now you're in a lot of pain. And now you're hanging out here with a lot of pain. So, maybe I didn't explain that the best, but I would say the takeaway from that is that chronic stress can hypersensitize your nervous system, which can increase your susceptibility to pain and chronic pain. So, fast forward, it's June 2025. I feel great. I am watching my stress levels. I am back to doing all the sports that I love to do, and I am using this small platform I have here and there to just give back, I guess, and try to provide some guidance for those who may be looking for a little bit of extra help in navigating their journey, their pelvic journey, because it's definitely a lot different than spraining your ankle or twisting your knee. The pelvic journey, I think, tends to be something you're in for the long run, and something that teaches you a lot. So I hope you learned something from this video, and feel free to reach out or comment. Really just sharing this so that if I can help, even just one person watching point in the right direction regarding treatment, or maybe even some stress relief. So yeah, so I'll see you later.